at the height of my side.
Welcome back to the Lizzabitty channel. I want to talk about a few nations in Alkebulan which are under U.S. sanctions. And you may be asking yourself, well, what are sanctions? Sanctions are a way by which a number of parties, or maybe even just one party, decides to enact a prohibition for a multitude of reasons. Typically, as it pertains to the U.S., sanctions, I know this is not funny, but sanctions, we use them by trying to punish those who disobey or by weakening the respective country in order to get them to do what we want them to do. If they oppose us, then we put these different items in place. And a unilateral sanction is for one country enacting it, while a multilateral sanction is a group of countries supporting its use. And on your screen, you saw that we had Ivory Coast. We also have the Democratic Republic of Congo, Liberia, Sudan, as well as Zimbabwe. And typically, when these countries are having sanctions placed upon them, it really hurts the poor. It really hurts the poor. And because a person with resources, meaning money, they can easily get up and go elsewhere and use their monies to get them what they need. But when a person doesn't have that type of money, they tend to suffer. So the sanctioning country won't allow those exports in the respective countries on particular airplanes, ships, if it's a coastline company. It won't allow the imports. And so it can hurt both economies, because if you think about a lot of the uses for things that come out of the DRC, even with these sanctions, our cell phones are still getting into where? The U.S. So how are the sanctions actually working in that regard because of cobalt, etc.? So you have to ask yourself, we typically find that the West is trying to get puppets in place to do what they want them to do. But this is to the detriment of the people. When you think about Zimbabwe, the sanctions are really hurting the poor. I mean, again, the rich, they typically live as there was no issues. So it's something that needs to be looked at, but the ultimate purpose is economic and political dominance. It's sad. It's sad because we have to understand that sanctions outside of having, let's say, wars, it really hurts the local people. It hurts the local people. And then you have people who will come back and say, well, good, you can make your own stuff in your own country. Well, a lot of countries don't have every natural resource to make those things. And if manufacturing is not heavy where the sanctions are, they are going to suffer really, really bad. So just be empathetic and understand what goes on when sanctions permeate themselves in places where we cannot benefit, because our people are not benefiting from this. Only these Western governments are benefiting from this, okay? And blocking a country's exports through an import sanction, it can also increase the possibility that the target country will experience a substantial economic burden. And so we have to really think about things. in South Africa to bring about change with apartheid. The reason why it failed was because companies were afraid that they were going to lose money. That's the only reason. This is about money. And even though they say, okay, they've abolished apartheid, what is really going on down there in terms of race relations with the indigenous people and those who went there to colonize? You know, we have to be mindful of our brothers and sisters as to a lot of stuff that they have gone through, okay? Also, targeted sanctions, while they may attempt to force a country to alter its behavior, a lot of times they really don't work either. They'll keep putting these targets on them, and their currency value just plummets. I'll give you an example. An example of that was with the oil in Iran. Remember, Iran was barred from selling any oil abroad because of its nuclear program. Yes. So, and then when you look at sanctions on Cuba, okay? However, Cuba is a communist regime, but so is China, and we still conduct business with China. So we have to think about what these political figures and business leaders are doing when they become, let's say, puppeteers and trying to get people to bend to whatever they want them to do. All right? So, yes, I just wanted to bring about a knowledge to you about which countries actually have sanctions on them. And so you'll be aware of what's going on. And when you possibly visit these nations, you may be wondering why they don't have this, that, and the third. And it's because they could have a unilateral or a multilateral sanction. Also understand that retaliatory measures are always in place when it comes to these sanctioned countries' economic activities. Okay, so the threat of a sanction is enough to alter or make a person stop doing what the West wants them to do. I'm not saying it's right. I don't agree with it. I don't. But this is one reason why we have to become more self-sustaining with each other on the continent. All the nations getting together. Yes, Lizzabitty out.